Alright, you guys, as you know, I am injured still, and I rolled my ankle. I rolled my left ankle skateboarding the other day, and I'm not going to be able to skate for about a week. Just a reminder. So, I'm doing another talking video here with Dave.
Complaining?
What?
Why are you just still complaining?
Because I'm a complainer and negative and
complaining.
Yeah.
He's just complaining.
Yeah. So I'm going to pull from the Twitter questions that I had you guys ask me through a tweet that I made about controversial skateboarding questions. And this one is by Adrian Alarcon. I might have butchered your name. Alarcon. I don't know. Sorry. How do you feel about misogyny, sexism, and homophobia in skateboarding? Now, this is definitely something I want to talk about because there's a lot of... I'm not afraid to speak my mind on this because I think it's pretty whack. I think how often the word gay is kind of thrown around as in that's gay, or, you know, using derogatory terms towards gay people in general. It just, yeah, I don't know. I just think you sound uneducated and you sound stupid. Like other people that are also uneducated and stupid think you're funny, but those are the only people that tend to think that kind of stuff is funny.
When I grew up skateboarding and punk rock, or whatever you want to call it, I feel like everything was pretty inclusive of everyone. Like, I've never had, like, my friends have always been pretty inclusive of gay or transsexual, or...
Right.
I mean, like, we used to hang out with this girl. I mean, that's where it gets hard. It gets hard to, like...
When the pronouns...
What do you call this person?
The pronouns. Well, pronouns
we used to hang out with
excluded.
this girl, Aubrey, which... really was a guy, and this was 20 years ago.
Yeah, but her,
you know?
I mean, her preferred pronoun is obviously girl. Yeah, which, I mean, I just refrain from, like, trying to use them, because if I don't know, I'd rather just try to not say, because I don't...
But that does make it difficult. So
it does, but that doesn't mean you need to... I don't think anyone thinks that means you need to make fun of it, but it does get difficult. I mean, and that's just where it comes in of, like, educating yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
Now that there's more people in skateboarding, like, all the people that I grew up skating with, nobody was homophobic,
right?
But I think
that comes from, like, more of a punk rock, or people are just more accepting.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's just our circle of friends or whatever. But
I think it is pretty common in punk rock, though, that people are equal, and you know what I mean. In hardcore, that kind of stuff is pretty frowned upon, like racism, misogyny, homophobia, and yeah, I mean, although, like, my friends that I did grow up with, a lot of them did use the word, like, they did use the phrase, like, that's gay.
Yeah.
Nobody was actually homophobic, but now, being in 2017, since, like, the whole world is extremely sensitive, which some of it is justified, I think. You know, a lot of times I think people are looking for reasons to get hurt, so they have something to grab onto to validate, like, themselves and give themselves, like, some kind of purpose to fight against something, because people like doing that. But
just because you use a phrase for something doesn't really reflect your belief in something.
No, it doesn't.
Language is an evolution.
Right.
We learn the way we spoke 20 years ago is way different than the way we speak now, and 100 years ago was way different. And, like, for instance, I will still say Jesus Christ. Or,
I say that, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I don't subscribe to any of that. So it's not that I'm not invoking the Lord when I'm mad at my skateboard.
No, I know, but that's
so it's
I feel like that's different.
So it's just societal saying, "Oh my God, why am I being so gay?" or "Why am I being such a girl?" or whatever.
Right, but there's a different. I think there's a difference there when you're saying like "Oh my God" or "God damn it" or "Jesus Christ." That's different. That's a belief structure that has no. You know what I'm saying? That's not. A
lot of people would be offended by you using that.
Right. But my point is that's a belief structure, and there are actually people who are gay, and that, like, that's a real tangible thing.
Well, to a lot of people, so is
right. We're okay. Yeah, I'm not trying to break into that. I'm not trying to get into that. But I'm just saying.
No, I get it, but all I'm saying.
I didn't get to my point.
Okay.
What I was trying to say. So, like, my point is that although you use that phrase, like, that's gay, if you're saying that, just because, even if you don't mean it in that way, I feel like it's still important to, like, educate yourself enough to realize that, like, oh, some people might be offended by that, and there's a good reason to why they might be offended by that, because that isn't what the word means. So it's like it doesn't directly reflect your beliefs, but it's still it can still be
right
offensive,
and
especially
in our lifetime the word gay has meant other things,
right,
you know,
right.
so and used as other things.
But I think it's more prominent now in skating because more people have gotten into skateboarding, and skateboarding as a whole has become more accepting towards the competitive jock mentality.
Right,
And like
that's what I was gonna say.
me growing up in high school, like all of the people that did play sports did talk like that too.
No, exactly. So that's what I was
They
saying.
were very
It's like,
judgmental about gay people and race and
that's the masses.
females.
That's the masses. So when you're in this small little punk rock community or skateboard community and everyone's hating on you, you tend to be more accepting of the other people that are hated on as well.
Right.
Like when I went to school, the skaters and the nerds hung out. You know, it's
Right.
like the D&D nerds and the skateboarders. You know, we all hung out together
Right.
because we were both ostracized. So you're more accepting of. But the masses make fun of everyone that's not normal.
Well, and also too, I think that might be specific to our country also.
Yeah.
Because that's a whole other topic that I
We
don't
should
really.
just all play Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Then it would all be over. It's a jock mentality. Get over it. I
Yeah.
guess it's bad for me to even call people a jock in a derogatory.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is, and we don't need to
mentality
ostracize
of the masses. So like talking like this, like when, because somebody might say, "God, that was gay," and not really have any hatred towards someone, but that's just we're saying it's like it's an open statement that doesn't mean anything.
Well, it's an open statement that
But-
means like what you're doing is whack, and you're
Right.
using the word gay, which represents gay people who are, you know,
Right. So
homosexual,
so
and you're
someone-
using that derogatory to try to offend
Right.
someone else by saying that it's whack.
I get it.
So,
I get it.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying is like some people say it just because they hear it used that way and they
Right.
haven't been educated and say, hey, you know what? That doesn't really reflect what you mean.
Right.
You know, that's
Right.
actually derogatory towards something else.
Right.
And then the people who know it and get it will be like, oh yeah, you're right.
And I'm not also saying too that like I'm a perfect saint because like when I'm with like a certain group of close friends, I mean more so it's just me, like when me and John joke around, like we'll joke around like that,
Yeah.
but it's more so us making fun of people who use those type of words.
Right.
So we're kind of making it's like the how to spot a poser video that I made. I made that video making fun of people who care enough to like call out somebody for being a poser. Like you only do that if you're like 12 years old. You don't do that if you're like an adult. Nobody cares. Nobody thinks about that. A lot of people I don't think got the joke in the video. I don't think I did a very good job at representing that. But
I don't remember. I remember the video, but I can't remember.
well, I have
the context.
friends that I skate with that say gay, and they use the very popular derogatory gay word that people like to use.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna say their names, but it's just funny because they'll say it not in the same context that John and I will use it, how we're kind of making fun of people who use those words, but they'll use it in a literal derogatory humorous sense, so they're trying to be funny, but at the same time to me it's very low level humor. I'm like we're not 14 anymore.
Right.
And there's nothing against people who are 14. I'm just saying like when you grow up, you grow out of that kind of stuff and it's not funny anymore because I don't know. It's obviously not. You learn what it really is. But to bring this back into skateboarding, because now we're just talking about that, but I think that, the reason why there's a lot of it is because there's a lot more people involved in skateboarding now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But I guess, I don't know, according to statistics, I guess the numbers in skateboarding are down, but I just think
Well, down from when? From like last year? But like over the course of the last 10?
the last 10 years, it's down.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, that was according to the IASC. So there's more people skating less frequently. So your casual skateboarder, that demographic is huge, but your core skateboarder, that demographic is shrinking.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of the core demographic too comes from people who probably tried to go pro and then it didn't work out, so they got a real job and don't skate as much anymore and they're not out buying stuff. But also a lot of people might have gotten turned off by the elitist attitude that skateboarding used to once have, which is kind of dying.
I don't know. I think when it was more elitist and more underground and more like perceived as you're doing something bad, like more people were drawn to it.
Well, it's like the
for
conversation.
whatever reason,
It's like the conversation we had the other day, though. It's like those people that were into it were so die hard because of the way it was. But now that more masses, like you said, more of the masses are involved in skateboarding, and more people are just casually skating.
Right.
And I think the core dude who skates is becoming less frequent because of, for one, skateboarding's changing very rapidly, and I think a lot of people aren't okay with it, so they like abandon it because they're like, I don't like this. They don't want to adapt to the changes. Like,
right.
I care enough about skateboarding that I'm just going to adapt with it. That's how I look at it, but other people would argue.
But you only adapt to a certain degree.
Right, but I'm saying like other people would.
Eventually,
people.
The bulk of the big skateboard movement changes. You know what?
Yeah, no, I know
my
what you're
mentality
saying.
is going to die.
Yeah, well,
Yours
I think
will too, and then it's going to be more of like the baseball of the United States.
Right. But I think other people too also adapt.
I don't know, but we're not talking about misogyny or.
I mean, I think the sexism thing is kind of dying within skateboarding, and the whole like wage gap in skateboarding is dying as well, because I mean you have people like Nora, Lacey Baker, Letitia Bafani.
That when somebody like Nora or Lacey or whoever, when they're skating on a level and grabbing enough attention, you get paid. I don't know. I know there is a disparage between women and men in all industry.
Right. Well, and that's because more people watch men than they do women, and that makes like sense on like a mathematical level. Like, okay, if advertisers are dumping more money into like the men's side of the sport, then there's more money to be dispersed over there if they're not dumping it into the female side of the sport. But I think female skateboarding is, I don't even like calling it that. Women in skateboarding are skateboarding enough now that more advertisers are dumping more money into it, like that Adidas documentary, so that there is going to be more money going around in
because
that side of the industry.
Nora is a skateboarder, period.
Right.
There's no like female blah blah blah.
Right.
It's like she hasn't been looked at and gone, hey, she's pretty good for a girl.
Yeah.
She rips.
She's just good.
She rips.
Yeah.
And that's why, like of any welcome board I've ever ordered, I ordered more of hers than any other board.
Right, because they sell more.
More than even Chris Miller boards, which
Right.
you got collectors that are picking up those things. But I'm like, dude, the board's dope, she's killing it, and she's relevant as hell as a skateboarder.
Right.
Not a
Well, I think
skateboarder.
once that division gets, because like if there wasn't that division of like male versus female in skateboarding, then there wouldn't be all the money dumped into just men's skateboarding. It would just be money dumped into skateboarding.
Right.
And then you
that's what it
can
needs
just
to
like,
be.
yeah.
But that's what's happening now is Nora or Lacey, they're not complaining, that they're just skateboarding.
Yeah.
And they're doing what they want to do, and they're doing it well. And that's why they're kind of bridging that gap or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're not just going, it's like the kid trying to get sponsored. He's like 15 or 10 or whatever, like, sponsor me, I'm only 15, or I could be better. But then there's a 10-year-old kid that's doing 900s over the mega gap. You know, it's like, in no category of skateboarding is somebody going to pay anyone an equal amount of money who's grabbing less attention than someone else.
Right.
You know, so like, just because you're young doesn't mean you deserve notability. Just because you're a girl doesn't mean you deserve some kind of notability or whatever.
Right.
When you're
Nora gets that recognition because and I think initially maybe it was because she was a girl, but now I think people are recognizing it as like, yo, she's a perfect ambassador of skateboarding in general. She has this like persona and personality that's like, it's like the videos I grew up watching. Like she has this like happy personality driven thing about her that's like, that just makes you want to watch her skate. It makes me want to skate.
That's it. It's her personality.
Yeah.
And she's just fun. She's having fun, and she doesn't care what anybody. She's doing what she wants to do, and that's why she is where she is.
I think that's what she'll be most known for too, is like breaking the wall down.
Yeah. I know I talked about this in the footage that we aren't using from the other day because my F-bombs were too
much cut out.
Too many. Mark Johnson, who was in that Nora video, he and I were talking about it, and I think we were even talking about it before that video came out, and he was talking about how like she is just like the new quintessential skateboarder.
Yeah.
Like she is like the best, most the best representative of what skateboarding should be today.
Right.
And
right.
he was like, and it's so crazy that it's a girl. And I was like, no, it absolutely makes perfect sense that it's a girl, because like when Mark and I were, maybe not.
Well, because she's an outsider. She's
right. When Mark and I were growing up skateboarding, we were outsiders. We were going against the grain. So it was like this big thing we had to like rise up.
Yeah.
Well, and now women are in that same. So it only makes sense that it was a woman that stepped in and said, "Yo, this is what real skateboarding is."
Yeah.
And the men's side of skateboarding is just a giant fraternity where people
it really is
use gay or faggot. I don't even like saying that word to make a point. I don't even like saying that word, but it's just a bunch of frat boys who were all stroking each other's egos.
Jankum made a tweet the other day, and skateboarding is just. What did they say? Oh my god, it was so sick. I retweeted it.
I don't know. But I'll say this, get over yourself, because everybody's good at skateboarding.
Yeah.
I hate the frat boy mentality in skateboarding.
Yeah.
Get over yourself.
It's whack, yeah.
Just skateboard.
I don't think there's much. I mean, do you think... actually, I don't know, because I'm like a man, but I don't know how much misogyny the women experience.
A lot.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, just because
we were talking about this the other day with the...
I get along with nearly everybody, so I don't encounter a lot of that.
Yeah, same. And it's hard sometimes as a white male to see, like...
It really is.
Like, white privilege or male privilege or whatever. And we were talking about the Me Too movement, which can be really hard to talk about, especially as a male. And you're like, like you start to think about it, and there was like a couple of instances that I could think about and put my finger on where someone was, I had a customer that was spending literally $1,000 or $2,000 a month in my store.
Mm-hmm.
It was a woman, and she was like super flirty with me, and it's just like uncomfortable, and I talked to her, and I was like, yo, it's like, you don't need to say all that stuff. It's a little bit blah, blah, blah. And she would be like, what, I can't tell you you're hot? I can't be attracted to you? I was like, you can be attracted to me all you want, but you can't say it every 5 freaking minutes.
Yeah.
And that was like one instance in the entirety of owning my store in 16 years, and a woman faces that every single time she walks down the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And it's
I want to point something out.
I
want to point something out too. I'm gonna bridge this back with, because I want to point this out before I forget about it. I don't mean to interrupt, but you get young kids now that would comment on what you just said, and they'd be like, "What, is he gay?"
Why?
That's what I'm saying. Because they think like, oh, he didn't like a woman's attention, that means he's gay.
It was too much. Of course you like attention, but it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like settle, just
it's like, yo,
cool
chill.
your jets a little bit.
Yeah.
This is like way too much.
Yeah.
And eventually she started she found me on Facebook, and she recently, probably about 4 or 5 months ago, tried to re-add me as a friend, and I just ignored it because I cannot deal with it.
You're like, whoa.
Sucks, because I tried to have I felt almost bad for her. I tried to have only because of the circumstances she was in, which is her business. I'm not going to bring all that up. But I was just like, dude, you just are pushing it too far. It was a hard situation for me to be in, where you feel powerless, because I'm like, damn, she's spending $2,000 a month. And she was literally like, oh, his shoes are torn up. Let me buy him some shoes. I'm going to buy these longboards and leave them here, and you can just give them to whoever needs them. It was crazy. I was like, you don't have to do this. As a business owner, how do you tell somebody who's spending thousands of dollars to settle down?
Chill.
It's like, so you're in this position where she's in a position of power because she's paying my rent.
Yeah.
And it was hard for me to it took months for me to finally say, you gotta stop.
And that's probably how women feel.
All the time.
Yeah, because men will do that. They'll be like, let me buy you this, let me do this for you, let me do that. And then they say they don't expect something in return, but they're expecting something in return, so it's like, and I wonder how often that goes on at and not that specific scenario, but just the misogyny aspect of it goes on at a skate park, when you get really thirsty skateboarders who are just I don't know, because certain people are embraced in certain cultures that really glorify certain things. And
like all of the pop music that's going on now.
Like
how are we supposed to not treat women like garbage when all of the music that everyone listens to teaches people to treat women like garbage?
Yeah.
And I will speak out against it, and people are like, lighten up, Dave. I love this terrible hip hop song that's trending right now. And I'm like, listen to the words. Do you want your daughter listening to that? Do you want your daughter being the focus of that? And these are women I'm arguing with.
Yeah.
So lighten up. I'm like, okay, it's cool. Which is why I don't talk about that stuff very often. Because I don't like pop music most of the time. I can't just like a song because of the beat.
Well, and also too, and this is just not in skateboarding, but it blurs the lines for what's right and what's wrong and what's okay and what's not okay. And then people end up in situations where they're like, yo, that's not okay. And it's because like they're being influenced by certain things, and like you get the dude that's like, what? This is what everyone does, and then the women are like, oh, okay, it is. I don't know.
Well, this is what I want to say. Like, I will talk to people when I bring this up. People don't want to hear music that makes them have to think. People don't want to watch movies that make them have to think. People don't read, so they get these ignorant life lessons through the music they listen to or the television they watch that is dumbed
or
down
the YouTubers
because that's
they watch.
all exactly.
And
we look
and they're like, oh, he's just a savage. That's sick. He's savage. Let's like it's like that's your justification for doing the things you do. What, like, you don't know what you're saying, you don't know what that means, and then they grow up and they turn 18 and they touch someone inappropriately, and then they end up in prison because they're like, what? I thought that's like what Gucci Gang did. What is
exactly.
You know?
Or whatever.
Yeah.
And they listen to terrible. I'm losing my train of thought. Masses also like disingenuous people.
Yeah.
They like fake people. They buy fake people. They buy this, like, people want me to have. People would rather me say, hey, this skateboard is $49.99 instead of $50 because they want to buy the BS. They don't want to think about anything.
Yeah.
They just want to be told what to do and how to think.
Well, yeah, because they want to be
it.
included in something that's quote unquote sick. It's like It's like, you know, how Supreme has the reputation that it has. Like, people want to be a part of that because they want to be included in like what's sick.
Yeah.
They don't want to be out of the loop. So I think that has a lot. But we covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got
good.
like 20 minutes of footage. Yeah, that was good.
Let's do it.
That was good. Okay, so you guys,
stop being a jerk.
David's YouTube channel, Instagram, discount code, everything is in the description below. Let's get Dave to 5,000 subscribers before he leaves on Wednesday. Yep, David BLUETILE
David
YouTube
show.
Yep. So let's get that, and there is a discount code for anything BLUETILE that you purchase at BLUETILE. Any of the branded BLUETILE gear and merchandise.
And we got like 24 new hats, new BLUETILE hats on the website.
Yeah.
24 new stock. And beanies too.
You get 20% off with the discount code.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's all in the description. Thank you guys. I will see you tomorrow.
I told you 8!
Oh my god.
I am the one, the way your son knows.
Dale, you know how to do this better than I do, right? Tell the truth.